Thank you, Rachel. I'd like to thank QED for the organization of this meeting, for inviting me and giving the opportunity to Rühle and Rühle to bring the biotech sector perspective. As in the QED ad, their motto to promoting dialogue, I'm here mainly to listen and what are to listen what the Commission, the Parliament, and the other stakeholders like NHS and Rühle have to say. That's for me a very enriching discussion. And what I would say is the aim of my presentation today is to give some more sector-specific insight of what the biotech sector believes is bringing to the community as a whole, and what are the interactions and experiences we had so far with public procurement, tendering, and it's very much a recent experience for us, I have to say, and some extent surprising, because we of course it's a sector that is heavily regulated. We are used to interact with authorities and Commission and the European Commission on other environments or processes, and this is something. So it's just a very early, I would say, summary of experiences and maybe some ideas and maybe finally some suggestions, but they are very general. I'm not go really through the discussion in the details of the drafting of the new directive and technicalities, because actually it's not really my expertise. So, Rühle, very quickly, Rühle is the industry association of the biotech industries in Europe, both from pharma, with representing pharma companies, but also other sectors, the green biotech and the white biotech. It represents more than 60 companies. It represents 4 bioregions and 22 national associations. So it's broad, I would say, represented. Yes. The biotech sector is what is bringing to Europe. It's bringing innovation. I mean, if I should say only one word, it's bringing innovation. Is our contribution to the community, of course, is to help patients, European patients, but also it's a contribution in terms of economic growth, in terms of support of the European effort to drive, to be a leading region at world level in terms of innovation. That's something that in these days, with financial issues that we are facing, we should never forget, because economic growth is an important part of sustainability of our systems, of our economic model. So we should for sure, in the short term, take in the higher consideration our budgets, but at the same time, it's very important that we keep an eye on growth and how we can drive growth, economic growth. Rühle is a German company, multinational, very well rooted in Europe. Most of our, so we have a tradition in Germany, of course, in other European countries, very strong presence, and we are open to global markets. So we want to bring really European innovation to the world. We are active in our pharma division. That is one of the 4 divisions in our company, in our group, is focusing on some specific areas: oncology, neurology, rheumatology, fertility. I leave it to your reading. What I want to give you is, as a first thing, it's an idea of what is our experience with tendering, with public procurement. I was saying it's something relatively new. So we were used to tendering being run at hospital levels, and that was, I would say, our usual relationship with tenders. So it's an hospital that needs to procure medicines or other devices or other things, and use tender system, public procurement to optimize their purchasing processes. What we are seeing in the last years it's a centralization of tendering that has come up to national tendering run by reimbursement authorities. So these authorities that normally were, for us, were counterparts and in a direct negotiation, and we were negotiating with them about price and reimbursement of our drugs and showing to them, of course, the value of our drugs with some systems that can be quite sophisticated, like cost effectiveness and health economics. So there is a broad and consolidated system to assess the value of drugs. All of a sudden, they said, okay, we are using a different system. We are pulling together some drugs. And these drugs will, because we have to comply with the public procurement directive, or we want to use the public procurement directive, will be tendered. So and most of the times, or many times, the cheapest one was the winner. And in some cases, in some countries, we had that only one drug was provided to patients. So that for us was quite a shock, because, you know, you're in developing drug, it takes a lot of time. And on average, it takes 1 billion euros of investment for developing a drug that then comes to the market. So and you have to convince, for example, for Europe is EMA, for the US is FDA with studies. You have to convince different stakeholders to develop evidences and all this stuff. And then at the end they say, okay, but for us, so for a specific purchasing authority, all these products are the same, more or less. So let's say the cheapest one is the winner and we don't care about the others. So you can imagine for an innovative industry like ours, it's a shock. Here there is an example, maybe I don't have time to go through. These are 3 products that I'm talking about, are 3 monoclonal antibodies. They're cutting edge of technologies for treating cancer, in this case metastatic colorectal cancer. They have different mode of action, so in some cases they target different patients, because 2 of them, they have a predictive biomarker. That means that you can, with a specific diagnostic tool, you can see which are the patients that are best responders to this drug and which don't respond, and one does not. And some of them are add-on therapies to other chemical treatments. Some are, according to the EMA, should be used as first-line treatment, some others not. So very different things. And what happened in some countries, I mean, don't need to mention, but in some countries happened that they will pull all together, and the patients in these countries or on this region, specific region, had access only to one drug. So for me, it's an issue. I see it. It's an issue for the patients. It's an issue for the scientific community. It's an issue for the regulatory system that has approved this drug, fulfilling the needs of different patient groups. And of course, it's an issue for industry, because you have spent a lot of money, not just the pharmaceutical industry in developing these drugs, but also the devices industry, the diagnostic industry, and they don't have any place in this country anymore. So that's, for me, it's something that we need to think about and to try to work together to avoid these extreme cases. This is just an example, maybe for sure it's not the common practice, it's not the average. I wanted really to focus on an extreme one, to be more clear, okay? So why drugs? Why for Bio and Merck Serono we have to think about drugs in a different way? Because as we're talking about biotech drugs are something relatively new to the market and to the scientific environment, and they have many specificities. First of all is that biotech drugs are a very complex technological innovation that has been developed, and it's something that needs, I would say, full assessment from different authorities, regulatory authorities, from decision makers, from the physicians, and it's much more complex than the usual small molecule drug that we used to be, and we still have in our in the pharmacies and have been prescribed by the physicians. So we are used to the drugs, to call the drugs the small molecule drugs. We need to have a different view on biotech drugs, because it's a really completely different world. First of all, they are much more complex. The reaction that every single individual has when treated with the biotech drugs is specific to this individual, and also the production of these drugs makes the drug, as it's done, makes the drug different from others that are done with another production system. So they're done with cells, so from cells, they are proteins or other complex molecules that are done with cells. So for example, every single producer of a biotech drug uses different cells to produce, or a different cell line to produce a drug. Another major change in the biotech environment, or in the drugs environment, is that we are moving from the general one-fits-all approach to drugs, so the small molecule one, the empirical approach, where one drug was supposed to, or generally supposed to help a broad population, to more and more targeted approaches that is going through what is called personalized medicine. Why I wanted to introduce this? Because to me, the procurement approach has been done so far as a main idea of the drug sector, the pharmaceutical sector, as with this one-fits-all eye. So I have a population, let's say a region that has a certain need. I have some drugs. I just pick the one that is, I think that they're similar, or that they have the same characteristic to fulfill the needs of this population. This one is the one that, the cheapest among those one is the one that is awarded the tender, and I'm fine.